Yeah, thanks to Jean. Thanks to Laura for having me here today. It's interesting, Jean, before the call, actually, when we were just talking amongst ourselves, mentioned about the arts, pivoting in the arts. And that's what even this session was about, because we had completely different topics we were going to talk about. And just had to kind of completely pivot and change our approach. So, but it really is amazing now that we're into this new normal, how everyone's kind of adjusting. I do want to say in advance, we have rehearsed this to some extent. And so with that, we still might have some technical difficulties, and please bear with us. Hopefully there'll be very few, if any at all. But we are really going to try to, we think we've got some great stuff, because what's really kind of interesting is what's going on in the arts and the fact that so many organizations have pivoted and are doing things at home. So this is really kind of a way to share some creative thinking, what's going on. The way it'll work today is we have about 5 minutes from each presenter. I'll give a little bit of a bio of each presenter while they get their screens set up. And then we'll do some Q&A at the end, and we have quite a good presentation planned for you. So first off, we have Joseph Quiñones from the Philip and Patricia Frost Museum of Science. With over 10 years of experience, Joseph develops and implements all the marketing and public relations strategies for the museum, events, and other initiatives. He oversees on-site and off-site marketing and promotional events, and works that enhance the museum's community outreach, helping plan to produce a wide variety of events for the community. Joseph holds a Master of Science in Global Strategic Communications and a Bachelor of Science in Communications from the Florida International University. So please, Joseph, take it away. Glad to have you here with us today.
Thank you so much for that lovely introduction, and thank you to the Arts and Business Council of Miami for having me today. It's such an honor to be speaking with all of you during this challenging time for all of us. And really, I know that there's so many groups, not only our panelists with us today, but also all of the incredible other arts and culture groups in our amazing city that are doing really incredible things virtually. And I just want to congratulate everyone for all the work that they've done. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So for those of you that aren't aware of, we're in downtown Miami. We're just about to celebrate our 3rd anniversary, which is actually going to be next week on May 8th. We had a lot of events planned. We had a lot of great exhibitions planned this summer, a lot of great marketing initiatives. And unfortunately, as Jean said, we did have to pivot very quickly. And so I jotted down this quick schedule just to give everyone a quick overview. We announced our closure on March 14th. And we closed officially on March 16th. And already we had seen the signs coming, and the conversation was, without a physical space, how do we stay relevant? How do we engage with our community in the digital space to continue to stay top of mind? So when we do reopen, we're something that people were able to really engage with. We're able to, continue cultivating that relationship. And then of course, what assets do we already have, and what can we create that's new? And everything that you're about to see or that I'm about to talk about, I'm involved in, of course, but I really have to give it up to the incredible team that I work with. It's a small team, but it's a mighty team, from our engagement team to our animal care team to the rest of my marketing team that really worked really hard. And as you can see, in under a week, we were able to really launch what we call Frost Science at Home. It wasn't perfect. It's still not perfect. We're continuing to add new resources to tweak it. We relaunched it, about a week or so after the initial launch. And then a little bit later on, we launched our virtual Live at Frost Science Facebook series. So we were able to move rather quickly, but of course, we have continued to really engage the community in new ways as we've gone along. So what is Frost Science at Home? Frost Science at Home is really bringing our museum to the virtual world. It all lives on our website, as you can see here on this next slide. And it's tons of great content. We're really proud of the content we've produced. It's everything from educational resources. So some of it is related to some of our exhibitions that we have. Others are just relevant sort of science topics. We have great DIY science toolkits that families can do together, some of which have corresponding videos, which we filmed in that 1 week, before we left the offices. We shot a lot of videos in about 48 hours, just being able to just create as much content as we could, knowing that we were all gonna have to start working from home rather soon. We also launched a live stream cam of our Gulfstream Aquarium about 2 weeks ago. As I mentioned, we also have our virtual Live at Frost Science speaker series. We also have sort of our version of a virtual tour, and really what that is we with our relationship with the GMCV, they offer all of their partners a 360-degree camera views of our exhibition spaces that we had done about a year ago. So we're using that as our virtual tour. So as I mentioned, we really were like going back into our archives, into our Dropbox, like what have we already done? What can we just sort of repurpose? Knowing that we didn't have a lot of resources, we were trying to move quickly and trying to see what can we, add to this portal of Frost Science at Home. We also have these great sort of activity as part of our activity toolkits. Our design team has had a lot of fun creating these, activity sheets and different, having fun with, this is a nature bingo, or having fun with sort of the memes that you see on social media. So, at Frost Science, we take science seriously, but we don't take ourselves seriously. And we try to have fun with a lot of the content as well. And some of the results I've shared here, it's been incredibly successful. In the first 2 weeks, we had over 14,000 page views. Compared to where we are typically in March, it's about half of our regular online views because, we close right at the peak of what is our busy season. March was supposed to be, the peak of spring break, getting into the summer months. We had a lot of tourists in the market, and it hit us right at a point where things were going really well. Like I said, we had a lot of great things planned. We've had great media feedback. And we also, I'm going to talk a little bit about partners, but we really relied on our partners to help amplify our message. And so in tips and tricks, you're not in this alone. How can you engage your online community with what's already going on online? So we have found a lot of success with this. Some of these that I've put here are from museums only, but there's so many great partners across the country that are doing great things. So when you engage with them, whether it's through hashtags or those fun holidays, you really can amplify your message. Coming up, we're talking now, Teacher Appreciation Week is coming up next week. What can we do online as part of Frost Science at Home that engages with our educator community and takes advantage of this Teacher Appreciation Week? International Museum Day is coming up. So these are all conversations we're having because when we plug ourselves in and work with partners, again, you amplify your audience and you just get more eyeballs for what you're doing. Find your friends. So, again, we've been working closely with our partners at the GMCB, Visit Florida, Miami-Dade County, and Culture Shock. All these different partners are listing, how can you engage with audiences? What are this partner doing? So make sure you get yourself included in that. We've really seen increased, viewership and website clicks when our partners are posting about us or sharing our content. For example, we've worked with the Arsht Center, we worked with the Museum of Discovery and Science in Fort Lauderdale, and we've been doing cross promotion. We'll talk about your work in our newsletter if you can talk about, our work in your newsletter and vice versa. And again, it's just exposing us to new audiences because we don't have the daily visitation that we normally have. So we really have to rely on our online, infrastructure. And, the online persona is the most important. What do you want to reflect? What are the values that your museum has? Or your institution or your organization? What's important to you? What are the topics that you typically explore through your art or through your exhibitions? And how can those live online? Data. So, closely following a lot of the great, organizations like Holland Dillon Schneider that are publishing data about what audiences are engaged with, or watching the news and seeing, the Shedd Aquarium and the penguins walking through the aquarium. How can we be inspired by what other people are doing really across the country and across the world that we can be inspired by and not necessarily copy, but do our own version of it, make our own spin of that. And reach out to media. Media are really looking to tell stories about what the arts and culture are doing here in Miami. Don't be afraid to reach out to a journalist if you saw a great story about something they were doing and share the content that you're doing. And then, and sorry if I'm speaking quickly, but I just want to get through all of this. But in terms of future considerations, these are things that right now we're talking about, and I open this up to the group, but how can we continue, how can we engage with our members? We have about 13,000 active member households, and right now the museum's closed, and of course they have access to all of this great content just along with our community, but how can we make them feel special? How can we engage with them? Looking forward, what's the future of virtual engagement going to be? We're starting to look at virtual summer camp, virtual field trips, other virtual offerings. How do we evaluate the digital investment? How do we, ensure that what we're doing is paying off? Is it just about website clicks? Is it about people that are using our hashtag? How can we eventually monetize our digital content? The more that the museum is closed, we're thinking about, we have this great content we've developed. It's all free right now, but in the long term, this takes resources, it takes manpower. So how can we monetize that content? And then once we're open and we're back into business, how do we continue to find time and resources towards developing this content? Now that we have it out there and we've built the infrastructure, how can we continue to use it? And that's really all for me. My email is there. Like I said, I find that Miami's cultural landscape is so welcoming and so friendly. I find myself, texting Michele at HistoryMiami or Pam and, asking thoughts and what they're doing and how we can work together. So if anyone has any ideas or, ways that we can work together, please feel free to reach out to me.
Thank you, Joseph. I can attest to that. I know at WLRN, we've done some cross promotions and done some screenings at the Science Museum there. It's been great. I think you showed some great foresight in creating the content, because that's actually the key, right? Once we're all at home and online, having that content at our fingertips. So thank you very much. Just a reminder, we'll have some time for questions for everyone at the end. So we're just going to go through all the presentations now. Next up, we have Kathryn Mikesell. Kathryn is the co-founder and executive director of the Fountainhead Residency and Studios. Following a 25-year career in technology, her passion project became an internationally recognized arts organization to which she's dedicated now full-time. The Fountainhead Residency is an artist residency that brings over 30 national and international artists each year for 1 month to live and work in Miami. Currently, there are 30 artists working in the studios. Kathryn also sits on the board of the Miami-Dade County Art and Public Places Trust and has been featured on CBS, CNN, PBS, Telemundo, HDT, as well as several publications. So join me in welcoming Kathryn. Good morning.
Thanks, Brendan. I appreciate it. And hello, everyone. And Joseph, thank you. That was an incredible presentation. And I think you touched on a lot of important points. So I'm going to change my presentation a bit and just talk about what we're doing as a smaller organization. We are quite a small arts organization. Actually, before all of this happened, we were a staff of 1 and a half. We're now a staff of 1 and 2 halves. So this time and getting into digital content, we didn't have a lot of content that we provided online, or really any content that we provided online prior to this. Really, everything that we did was about connecting people with artists in person. So this was quite a unique shift for us. And I'll just talk very quickly about a couple of the programs that Brendan introduced. But we have a residency program. That's where we bring artists in from around the world to live and work in Miami for a period of 1 month. We bring on average 33 artists a year. And as part of that program, we host a number of public events throughout the time that the artists are with us, and also one-on-one events. So we work to help connect the artists within our community, and with that also providing them with valuable feedback on their work and hopefully creating financial opportunities for them. We're very lucky that every year we have between 15 and 30 artists that return to Miami for exhibitions and talks and things like that. So our other program is a local studios program, and that's where we have 30 artists working in studios, of affordable, safe, very raw studio space that's not open to the public, except for twice a year. And then we have programs called Artist to Artist, because I believe that as you're talking about, as Joseph talked about finding your friends, I think we learn from those, we learn best from those that are in similar situations to us but have different ideas. And so those presentations have been in person and always include meals. And so it's not only about what you will learn that night, but the ways that you can connect with, with other people in your industry and your field. So, those had to be pivoted. And then May 9th was going to be our Artist Open, which was which last year was the first year. And that is where artists from across the across Miami-Dade County opened their studios to the public. So we started that last year. We worked with all of the major studio complexes. So from Fountainhead from Arsht to Oolite on the beach, Bakehouse, the Deering Estate down south, Doral and Hialeah, Bridge Red in North Miami. And that was really to help, again, connect artists with people within the community and hopefully give people within the community an opportunity to purchase art from local artists and just really get to know the vast talent that we have here in Miami. So being that all of our programs were in person, this shift was all new to us. I mean, to be very honest, I was just starting to get, our feet wet in social media because I'm not the best person personally on Instagram and Facebook. So I was lucky that I brought in Alex Nunez, who is an artist that's working at the studios and works with us as our program manager to begin helping to develop a social media presence. And then we brought in Nicole Martinez. This is also part-time. This is just before COVID, but thankfully she continues to be with us to kind of take that to the next level. So what are we doing and why are we doing what we're doing? Fountainhead is really, again, it's about connecting people in a very real, intimate, comfortable way and making arts and more importantly art, our artists and art approachable, because we believe that art is for everyone. I think that artists, artists create hope. They help us see the world differently. And I truly believe that interactions with artists change the way we move, act, and view the world, the way we treat one another. So how does that translate? Excuse me, how does that translate online? So we decided to begin virtual studio visits. And we opened that up to not only artists that were in our programs, but all artists from South Florida. And so that is where we decided to do that via Instagram Live. We looked at a number of different channels: Facebook Live, Instagram Live, YouTube Live, and Zoom meetings. And the reason why we chose to go with Instagram Live is because we felt that that was where our largest audience was. We'd initially thought about Zoom, but we realized that people, when you do a Zoom meeting, you're kind of committed to a Zoom meeting for the duration of the time. And I think that when it comes to, viewing art and things like that, people like to be able to kind of come and go and, they like to be able to come and go. So I think Instagram Live was the right format for us. We are getting tremendous feedback on the live virtual studio visits, and let me show you real quick what one looks like. What we do is we announce them via our newsletter. We have them posted on our website. We put them on Facebook. We add them to Eventbrite. And then we go live on Instagram. And after they go live, we then share them to our stories. So they're available for 24 hours on our stories. And then later we post them to our YouTube channel. So we're putting this content out in a number of different ways. I will say that it is time intensive to do that. So I think that has to be considered if you're thinking about doing initiatives like this. But let me show you what an online studio visit looks like and show you where you can, hold on, let's see here. Okay, here we go. Sure, now let's hope that you can see all of this. Okay, you all have disappeared, but can you see my YouTube channel?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much. Okay, so this is where we, as I said, the YouTube channel is where where these studio visits live.
Yes, I know. I have I think these,
I don't want to go too long.
I'm just going to kind of take you outside.
So the artists, the key to these studio visits is that they're raw, let me take this down, is that they're raw and they're unscripted and they're very personal. And I think that, again, that keeps that's in keeping with Fountainhead and what we're trying to do. I think this kind of, unscripted, unnarrated, this is me, this is my space, this is what I'm doing, is what really resonates with people. Because I think we're all feeling raw right now and vulnerable. So these are the virtual studio visits. And I want to take you to our, oh, sugar, it left, let's see. These are our stories. Oh, sugar, I don't know why, hold on. Here we go. And this is our Instagram channel. So we announce each of our studio visits here. When we first started, we were doing multiple studio visits in a day. We realized that probably wasn't the best idea because we couldn't properly promote each of the artists that we were doing. So I think, we just wanted to give back so much from the start, but we realized that, that you only have, in order to properly promote things, you need to be better in your, in your scheduling and give people an opportunity to kind of absorb the content in which you're doing. So, and then the other thing that we started actually before the virtual studio visits, which we did immediately, because the people that we serve, fall into two buckets, right? They're artists and their community. So the first thing that we did was this artist resource newsletter. And this is our web page where we have all of our artists, where we have all of those resources. And there's resources not only for Miami-based artists, but also for national and international artists in the way of emergency grants, as well as grants and opportunities. So things outside of what's happening in COVID, whether it's residency open calls, it's grants that they can apply for. And these are both, again, local and national. And then we also have here, we're also giving shout outs to other organizations that are gathering resources, because we all have different, different networks that we're pulling from. So we felt that it was important to share, to work with partners as well. So I'm going to stop sharing there. I just want to talk a little bit. We also started another initiative called #ArtistsOpenOnline. And that was, the main reason behind that was twofold. One, we wanted to keep the attention on artists, but two, we wanted to give people an opportunity to support artists. So that was, we encouraged artists both locally and our residency artists to post works that were available for under $1,000. And that initiative has gone quite well. I guess there's no really downside to it, but we can't really, in using a hashtag, you can't really control what's there. So, but we have had many artists sell artwork through that, which we're very proud of, because getting money right now into artists' hands is vital. I will tell you also that, just to share a bit of the numbers with you, our audience has grown significantly. Our program started at the end of March, so we were quick to start our programs. And since that time, we've gained over 1,000 followers, which for us, we started with just over 5,000 followers, and we're now at over 6,700 followers. The average studio visit brings between 100 and 150 people while it's on Instagram, and then continues in live. So if you're an artist or artists, getting 150 people into your studio would not be feasible in the real world. We're also seeing an audience not only from South Florida but globally. So it's been an amazing tool to help bring exposure and awareness to artists. And interestingly enough, our newsletter has seen a 10% increase in its in readership and in clicks. So it has brought a lot of attention to our programs, and being a small local organization, those numbers are very significant to us. So those are really the programs. I feel like Joseph, I had a lot more to talk about, but I feel Joseph did such a great job at going through a lot of this, and really the questions that he ended with, that they're asking themselves, I think all of us are asking, is what does this mean post-COVID to you know, to people being able to attend our events? Was the investment worth it? Can we continue this, you know, in the new normal? Because these are programs that I certainly want to continue, but I realize that as we get back to business, and having such a small staff, what can I realistically do? And I don't yet know the answers to those questions. I think that's something that we're just going to have to learn along the way, like we did with all of these online initiatives. So I will, and again, I want to talk about partnerships as well. I mean, I think we're in the arts community, we're working very hard to support one another, announcing each other's initiatives. And I think that will hopefully continue. Some of the other things is that we're starting some new conversations about how we can collaborate more in the future as well, because to really support our local community. So I'm in talks with curators at the PAM about being more active in curating artists that we bring to the residency so that we can do joint programming with them. And that's something that I'm going to be investigating even further. So I think this, aside from just online initiatives, it's how can we collaborate more in the future to accentuate, you know, multiple organizations' strengths and work together to grow our audiences and support one another.
Thanks, Kathryn. I appreciate it. I think you've got some great resources there that you shared with everyone, and we will make the presentations available afterwards. But it sounds like you're doing a lot with a relatively small staff, so thank you. Just a reminder, we will do Q&A at the end, but if you want to make sure your question doesn't get lost, there's a Q&A button at the bottom. You can go ahead and just type that in. We got about 4 or 5 of them I see now that are there. So we'll make sure we'll cover those at the end. We'll also open up to the group. As we're pivoting in the arts, we're pivoting in this session as well. Originally, we had Georgiana from the Arsht Center that was going to present, but we had replacement Jake Klein, the publications director, to talk about Arsht at Home. Jake is a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist and playwright whose writings has appeared in publications such as The Atlantic, The Washington Post, and the South Florida Sun Sentinel, where he worked as an editor and reporter for 22 years. Since September of 2019, Jake has been the publication director at the Adrienne Arsht Center for the Performing Arts. So please let me turn it over to Jake, and welcome and thanks for being with us today.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me.
Good morning.
So yeah, so much like the Frost Museum, the Fountainhead, PAM and others, initially, right after the Arts Center closed, you know, it's our mission, it's our job to bring the arts to the community. And within days of working from home, we all started to think, well, how are we going to do that now? The community cannot come to us. So we have to figure out a way to bring the arts to the community. And within the marketing department where I work, we just had, you know, a phone conference, a Zoom meeting like everyone else is doing now, and just started brainstorming about what can we do. And we have obviously the website. So at first we started pretty modestly just thinking, well, we can put together Spotify playlist of genres of music that the Arts Center presents. So we compiled some Broadway playlists, jazz, classical, etc. And then started thinking about video and thinking about our performance archives, or possibly reaching out to local musicians to film concerts at home, as you've probably seen from, if you're friends with any musicians on Facebook or Instagram, you've seen that. So, and then we started talking to the other departments at the Arts Center, programming, education, and it just blew up. So within about a week of just kicking around those ideas, we had a name for the initiative, Arsht at Home, you know, kind of like Frost at Home, we're aware of that. And I've been working hand in hand with our digital editor, this guy Ryan, and we had the site up and running, and in about a week, we had several categories already. We have, I'll show you the PowerPoint here in a second, but everyone got involved, and our education department reached out to their community of teaching artists, and the response was overwhelming. Everyone wanted to participate. Programming reached out to our arts partners, resident companies. We have a program now that we started late last year called Arsht Plus. So before concerts, we open the venue 2 hours before showtime, and we have local musicians perform in the plaza, in the lobby of the Ziff Ballet Opera House, Opera House, and we reached out to them, and again, the response was incredible. And they began filming concerts, performances at home, and we're calling that Living Room Live. So I'll go to my PowerPoint now, and I'll walk you through the various sections of the site, and you can see what we've done here. And the site goes live. We're posting content throughout the week, but the site, we're calling it Publication Day, is every Thursday. I edited magazines for 20 years, so I immediately approached this as if I were back editing a weekly magazine, and established an editorial calendar, set deadlines, and just like at a weekly magazine or a newspaper, we don't always hit the deadlines, but we're pretty good, we're pretty close. So the tagline here, the slogan, which was the idea, the goal was to stay connected and stay inspired. That's for our audience, because we want them to stay connected, not just with the Arts Center, but really with the arts community, with one another. We want this to be a collaborative effort. And also just to inspire people to be creative at home. We know everyone, parents are home with their children, and beyond just doing remote teaching, remote learning, just figuring out how to be creative and keep them engaged while everyone is sheltering in place. So the numbers here at the beginning, so from April 3rd through April 20th, just a little snapshot there. We've had about 10,500 page views. In that time, we had 2,700 new users and 4,158 sessions. You're looking at the homepage here, on Arsht at Home, and it's a microsite within the arstcenter.org website. So it's arstcenter.org/Arsht at Home. And you go there, and on the left-hand side, you'll see the breakdown of sections, and I'll start going through those. So the art of making, this is one that we're really proud of, and the response here, again, was incredible from our teaching artists. They run anywhere from 15 minutes to 30 minutes, and they're geared toward families and children. And they cover everything from the basics of composition, musical composition, to contemporary dance. The woman in the picture in the lower left, she's a musician, movement artist named Sarah Gonzalez, and her video is the first one we posted, and it's incredible. It's very entertaining. She teaches you how to make music using objects in your kitchen. And she's banging on milk cartons and egg crates, and she pulls out a guitar, and she's very energetic, and it's highly entertaining. The violinist here, Adrienne Alexanian, I believe her name is, she teaches you how to play along to your favorite song. In her case, her favorite song is This Love from Bob Marley. So it's very entertaining. And we're now posting about 2 art of making videos per week. And again, covers dance, music. We have writers, poets, visual artists, you name it. So it's been pretty successful. The next one here is Miami Monologues. We reached out to the local theater community. We of course work with our arts partners, Zoetic Stage and City Theater, and they are both going through their archives of past performances, company actors, and they're filming monologues written primarily by Miami playwrights. In upcoming editions, we'll have works written by playwrights from around the country, but mostly read by Miami actors. So it's a good opportunity to keep the theater community engaged with, again, one another and with what we do at the Arts Center. Living Room Live, these are the concerts, the in-home concerts I was talking to you about. Not always in living rooms. We've had some in kitchens and elsewhere, other parts, Florida rooms, other parts of the house, but it's a good mix of the established musicians, such as Shelley Berg. He's the Dean of Music at the Frost Music School at the University of Miami. Jorge Mejia, he, I believe, is the VP of Sony Latin jazz or music based in Miami. And then lesser known artists, but no less talented. We've had some really incredible songwriters and musicians, such as Lauren Kunkel, Alexa Lash, and pictured here is Veronica Herrera. And again, typical song length on these videos, but we've already repeated some of the artists, and we have a backlog already of performances. We have the calendars set pretty much through the next month, and we're constantly shuffling things around, moving things around, trying to give the audience a pretty diverse selection of art every week. So, and then this one I'm particularly proud of, Arsht at Work. Our HR team, obviously understanding what a difficult time this is for everyone, but doubly so for people who have lost their jobs at this time. They're offering, and they've received about, which is nearly 40 here, but this morning I checked, and it's 39 people have reached out to us because we're offering free 30-minute resume reviews and interview coaching sessions on the phone. So you go onto the site, there's a form you fill out. It's really simple, and our HR team will call these people back and they'll work with them. And the feedback, we got a really nice email from somebody that we helped last week. And I just think it's a great service, and I'm really proud that we're offering this to people. And so here, yeah, we get the word out through, I write a weekly newsletter when the site, everything's in place, and we're going live on Thursday, generally between 12 and 2 p.m. We send a newsletter. I write this newsletter, and it's a preview of what's on the site, what's new on the site that week. It goes out to about 191,000 subscribers, and the open rate on it has been pretty good, averaging about 14% every week, and we're seeing that reflected in the page views and the clicks. Social media, of course, all of our 180,000 followers across all of our platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and we're also using targeted advertising, paid advertising on paid posts on Facebook. And finally, the press coverage has been very good as well. Johan Zeitzman, our CEO, he's appeared recently. He was on NBC last week, CBS, the Miami Herald, the Sun Sentinel. They've all covered Arsht at Home, and we're just really happy and proud about that as well. And I mentioned Johan. Just last week, we started a new feature. He's going to be hosting a weekly video interview series called Arsht Talk, in which he talks to arts leaders and thought leaders from around the world, really. He's going to be interviewing someone from Canada in the next couple of weeks, really just to talk about the state of the arts at this time and looking toward the future, because we know everything is changing. It's not going to be the same. So our the first edition of that show, which we're also going to be transforming into a podcast soon, was Alberto Bargan, of the president and CEO of the Knight Foundation and former Miami Herald publisher. And it's a pretty fascinating talk and a really good exchange of ideas. So, but again, we really are doing our best to keep our guests and the artistic community in Miami connected and inspired. As we say, stay connected, stay inspired. So that's Arsht at Home.
Thanks, Jake. I'm impressed with everything you're doing, but in particular that Arsht at Work. I think that's a great way to connect with some new audiences and people that may not be familiar with the Arts Center, that perhaps can tap into those resources as well. So thank you very much. Next up, we have Jean Vilpin from Miami Music Project.
Hey,
Jean is professionally known as Jay Vilpin. He is a Haitian-American trumpist, recording artist, recording producer, and musical arranger. Jean first picked up the trumpet at 9 years old in church and would continue to play trumpet, and eventually taught himself how to record, mix, and master music. He's a graduate from Miami Beach High School, attended Florida A&M University on a full scholarship, graduating with a BS in instrumental music. So good morning, John. I know we said a Jean or John, and you said either way, so I'm going to do a little both.
Yeah, that's fine. We can say Jean so that everybody doesn't really get confused.
Good morning.
Let me go ahead and try to set up this this PowerPoint in the meantime. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, so we're sharing the screen. I'll just share that. All right, cool. Is there a way? I'm not sure why it's not showing my my PowerPoint window. Let's try that one more time.
And John, if is there sound on your presentation?
No sound.
Perfect. Okay, are you getting it to work?
Yeah, I think I need to get this out of full screen and then I'll be good to go. Yep. All right, cool.
Oh, perfect.
All right. And boom, can everybody see?
Yes, we see you.
Awesome, awesome. All right, and the PowerPoint is here. Can everybody see the PowerPoint?
Yes.
Awesome, awesome. All right, so yes, my name is John Vilpin. I'm here from Miami. I'm a trumpet player and teaching artist with Miami Music Project. I'm also the director of bands at Charles R. Drew K-8 Center, which is one of the chapters of Miami Music Project, the Liberty City chapter. And you know, things happen really quickly with COVID-19 happening and shutting schools down. But we try to just really move on it, and within I would think if school ended on the 16th, by the 19th or 20th, we had already started doing classes. Just a little overview about what Miami Music Project is. We use music as an instrument for social transformation, empowering children to acquire values and achieve their full potential, positively affecting their society through the study and performance of music. We use the El Sistema philosophy, which is from South America, and which more or less is you know, give the students not necessarily a virtual experience, but give them, you know, like things like wooden instruments that don't necessarily make noise, so that they can get the feel of the instrument, and then as they show their understanding and they get better, we give them the actual instrument. They learn a new love and appreciation for it. We have chapters from all over Miami. We have a Little Haiti chapter, Liberty City, and we're making one in Miami Beach actually as well. And a huge part of the program is all minorities really. When it comes to
I don't want to break your flow, but if you will hit slideshow play, everyone can see the screen a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, perfect. That way they can see the whole slide. It's a better view. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. All right, so yeah, so that's you know, just a little bit. You can see more on the website miamimusicproject.org. Okay, so some challenges that COVID-19 has caused. School closed very abruptly. The vast majority of music students in Miami-Dade and in Miami Music Project did not have instruments to take home when everything kind of shut down. Also, technology resources were limited, and they still are. Miami-Dade has passed out about 32,000 laptops to families all over the city, but as of right now, they're really at their last leg. They're last time I checked, there are currently no more that are readily available for students. You got to kind of get waitlisted. Quite a few teachers in Miami-Dade are unfamiliar with using online platforms to lecture students. I know that I really am not. This is my first time really using Zoom and teaching online. I do have friends that they kind of jumped on it early to get their own income, but this is very new for a lot of us. Teachers and families have had to instantly become privy of up-to-date technology. Like Microsoft Teams, a lot of teachers, Miami-Dade schools is using Microsoft Teams as their main method of communication. And it works for a lot of teachers, but specifically for music teachers, it's a little bit harder to get your, you know, to get your point across sometimes. Especially when you're trying to deal with assignments, pass out assignments. You know, usually in the musical setting and in the arts, you know, there's less work. There are less paper assignments and more projects. You know, so it's a little bit different doing projects from a distance. There have been a lot of logistical challenges and communication challenges. Some parents are harder to get into contact with. Some families are harder to get into contact with. People change their numbers all the time. You know, people are going through a lot of financial stress right now. and to just be frank, some people are not being held accountable. So you know, it's been kind of hard to really move around that when it comes to teaching, you know, giving the kids the education that they deserve when it comes to music education and the arts. Many students utilize music ed and programs like Music Project to escape the harsh realities that can come with staying home. If you look, the demographics, like I said earlier, so Black, non-Hispanic, and Hispanic students take up a very big part of the demographics of the program. And to be, you know, quite frank, a lot of them don't have the best living situations because of their whatever their parents' financial situations may be. You know, I have students that you know, have told me that they ran from drive-by shootings and all types of things like that can really happen from being in some of these areas that these kids live in. So it's kind of hard to keep them focused on their work when there's so much distraction, so much turmoil that's going on in their areas. But you know, amidst all the darkness, there's a lot of light. We've been able to move very quickly, and we've been able to get a lot done in a very short time. We're focusing on keeping the students engaged in education, especially music education. We're continuing exposure to and developing a love for the arts. And we're continuing access to arts, especially those who are socioeconomically disadvantaged. One of the ways that one of the ways that we have been able to keep programming going is we've had multiple chapters set up, you know, some quarantine safe tents on site at the school, you know, the same place that they have been passing out food for the families. We passed out instruments to those students who are in Miami Music Project. We passed out dozens. I don't remember the exact number, but I want to say it may be somewhere in the hundreds, honestly. Dozens of horns and string instruments have been placed back in the hands of those students, and they have been really, really, really eager to practice. Not only that, but you know, we've been able to keep over 60 employees, and they're able to keep their income going. They've also gotten training. We've had tons of Zoom meetings, tons of, you know, just exercises and communication to help us better prepare ourselves for you know, what we're going through right now. And with all of that, you know, we've been able to teach over 500 students, continue teaching over 500 students at 5 different chapters, and they're receiving online musical education daily. And amidst the pandemic, several Music Project students have been accepted to some top colleges and conservatories. One of my students got into New World School of the Arts. Some students have got into CUNY, and another one of my students actually got into, well, a handful of students got into the Interlochen Summer Camp, and I believe Interlochen is looking at doing some things. Interlochen is in Michigan, I believe, and I believe they're looking into doing some things to have a virtual camp if you know, should we have to stay in quarantine over the summer. Just a little bit about, you know, what we're doing online. We have music content area classes. These are lecture-based classes. There are 2 classes a week, 1 class on rhythm and 1 class on pitch. It just depends on where what chapter you're at. Will depend on, you know, what day you have those classes. The classes are level specific. The students are grouped based on performance and theory assessment. We have something like a jury, like a college jury, where we have a panel and we have the kids play. And, you know, they also get tested, and, you know, just to see where they are musically. We use Zoom as well, and we teach them through Zoom. We record all the classes so that we can, you know, look at them later, have them documented. And we also split them up by instrument specific classes, because, you know, we have different instruments. When we have strings, we have brass, and we have percussion. So, you know, there's a day that they have percussion classes. There are days that they have brass sectionals, things like that. Those and the instrument specific classes would be called sectionals. There's 10 students max, and the students are able to receive direct feedback. We also have been doing one-on-one classes. I have a little picture here. This is me sitting in on a one-on-one class. I have been teaching some myself. Though they're the one-on-one classes are once a week for all students. So not only do they have their 2 sectional classes and their content area, but they have their one-on-one class. Those classes are also taught through Zoom. We were using Google Meet, but Zoom seems to be working a little bit better. They're instrument specific as well, trumpet players with trumpet players, violinists with violinist, bass with bass, things like that. And the classes are they're more conversational. You know, the kids, some of them really miss their teachers, and a lot of the teachers miss their kids. It's able to bridge that connection that you know, that personal connection that we've all been kind of missing out on during this whole pandemic. And they're able to hone in on you know, some Miami Music Project student objectives and benchmarks. You're really able to, they're private lessons, you know. Like I said before, some teachers have been doing private lessons online, and it was nothing for them to jump on it. But a lot of new teachers, they had to adjust very quickly. But when you get adjusted, it's basically, you know, like a tutoring session, private session, and it works out pretty well. Some of the teaching resources, there are tons of teaching resources that we've been able to use online that have been able to aid us with keeping the kids engaged, because that's probably one of the hardest things to do with teaching arts online. Miami-Dade uses Microsoft Teams, and they integrate Microsoft Teams with the Zoom app. So me personally, I'm a band director. I only get to teach my kids once a week because there's so many other classes that are going on right now that they're trying to teach on Zoom. The schedule only permits me to teach once a week. So with that, with Music Project, I'm teaching 3-4 times more those same students, and they're able to get that instruction. Miami Music Project meets through the Zoom app. And the way that we do our regular programming on a day-to-day basis, you know, we have the students come in, get their snack, sign in, take attendance, do a study hall, and then they go to their class. So we kind of mimicked the online procedures. Well, in the online procedure, we've mimicked how operations would go on a regular day-to-day. The kids would log in as Zoom. They're in the main room, and then the coordinator would from there send the kids to their breakout rooms, and then from there, you know, we have our classes. Breakout rooms can be split up from sectional rooms where they have those instrument specific classes, or that they can be one-on-one classes. And it's been working out pretty well. Those classes are, once again, level specific, so we're able to really hone in. One of my personal problems with teaching with Dade County, on that one day that I have my students, that I have to kind of cram a bunch of information within 45 minutes to a class of 30 students. So on Zoom, which you know, it has its challenges. You know, some things that we've been using to teach the kids, you know, a lot of teachers have gotten creative. They've used flashcards, they made games. There's a game here on the right. It's called Staff Wars. You're able to teach the kids how to read music in real time, and you know, you can use Zoom to. You can use Zoom to have them control the screen, and then, you know, they can play the game with you. Some teachers use observations by using YouTube channels. Some of them have set up their own YouTube channels. I personally am in the works of setting up my own YouTube channel, and that also brings in revenue for those teaching artists who don't, who are unfamiliar with you know, using the internet as a stream of income. I mean, me personally, I'm a recording artist and producer, so YouTube has been paying a little bit of my bills for quite some time now. So it's pretty cool to be able to do that. Musictheory.net is an app that I use personally. The Quaver Music app is available to Miami-Dade schools, but they also have some promotional codes available for music educators. ToneSavvy.com is currently free right now. It's usually a paid site, but they're free all the way up until the summer, I believe. And that is a great one for melodic dictation, chords, music theory. It's really good for ear training. And, you know, there's a lot more online resources and creative solutions that, I mean, teachers have been coming up with. They're getting super creative. Some like have made like their own little game show with the kids. You know, we're trying to make the kids look forward to having a Zoom meeting, you know, to be there. And so far it's been working. My kids seem happy to see me. They're happy to play their instrument. Oh, they're so happy to play their instruments. It's to the point where they're calling us to, you know, for certain instrument maintenance things. Sometimes coordinators and site directors have personally gone to those students' locations to where they're at to give them some maintenance equipment for their instruments and things like that. So it's looking really positive throughout everything. You know, hopefully everything changes soon, but we've been able to adjust really well. You know, I wanted to be brief. That's really all I have. I appreciate you guys for letting me speak and give me the platform. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Some great resources there. I think it's amazing that you're touching 500 kids in this kind of remote setting on a daily basis. That's wonderful. Just another reminder, the Q&A box at the bottom, we got about 8 questions now. So go ahead. If you have a question you want to ask anybody on the panel or everyone on the panel, you can go ahead and type that in. We'll try to open it up at the end, but just want to make sure we get to those questions as well. Next up, we have Hannah Baumgarten. Hannah is the founding artistic director for Dance Now Miami. Hannah received the BFA from Juilliard School. She has been presented internationally on 3 continents and in 15 states. Hannah has taught throughout the United States and abroad before founding Dance Now Miami in 2000. Hannah was the director of dance at Dillard Center for the Arts in Fort Lauderdale for 10 years and now serves as the faculty at Miami Arts Charter School. So good morning, Hannah. How are you doing today?
Good morning. I am happy to say everything is good here, and such a pleasure to be here to speak with you and our audience about this pivot, which of course is one of our iconic dance words. We use it all the time. When this crisis fell upon our heads, in the world of dance, we really were, the performing arts in general, I think were crippled because our entire art form, the presentation of our art relies on large groups of people gathering. But dance in particular, I think it was the most profoundly impacted because we, of all the performing arts forms, are the ones that require 100% in-person contact for both the creation of our art as well as the rehearsal of our art. So other art forms can be created or rehearsed singly. You can write poetry, you can practice voice, but you can't actually dance without others, and you can't create the work and you can't rehearse it. So Diego and I, the other director of Dance Now, we, as soon as we realized what was happening, and we had a little heads up because we were bringing an Italian company in for our March 21st performance at the Aventura Arts and Cultural Center. And Diego, as well as my life partner, are both Italian. So we had been watching what was going on there for a little bit longer than most people. And we had a sense of how this was going to impact us in the performing arts. And for us, in a certain way, it was also more profound because we are the, unlike the other representatives here on the panel, we're the actual art makers. We're not only the artistic and executive directors, but we are the ones who are producing the art. And so we have a slightly different investment in our product and what was going on. So we very quickly proceeded in a practice that we learned a few days later in a webinar to be called Stop, Start, and Continue. And I say it again because it was so highly useful for us, and I want to share it with anyone who might think about how to proceed in this time. So the first thing is stop. You have to understand what is it that you're going to stop in your organization, what things are just not going to proceed. Then what you need to do is quickly start. And that means sometimes start totally new initiatives blindly and just go for it. And then continue refers to while you're starting these new initiatives, you have to continue to focus on your mission and continue to honor the mission of your organization. And I hear over and over everyone who's spoken before me really talk about how ultimately that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to continue the mission of the organization and to fulfill both the artistic content and expanding to even a level of social responsibility as an organization. So we realized very quickly this was the majority of our season. We had to cancel our three major proscenium concerts: Aventura, Broward Center, and the Colony. We lost a tour to South Carolina. We lost another booking at the Broward Center. We lost a site-specific piece at the Government Center, and still probably will be losing our World Dance Summer Intensive, our summer initiative for children. This, in numbers for us, meant over 3,500, maybe 4,000 audience members, and over $25,000 in lost revenue. And for an organization that functions with about $250,000 budget, 25,000 is an enormous amount of funds. So Diego and I, we paused. We took ourselves in a stop, and we decided we were going to do a quick and dirty look at the numbers, and we made a decision that we were going to continue to honor our dancers' contracts through the end of the season, which is the end of May, because we believe that at the moment, we believe that it was not only important for our season to continue, but we felt that we have an obligation to those artists, many of whom have transplanted to Miami. And this was not, obviously our company does not support them entirely, but it's a portion of their income. And we decided to keep on our retainer, Robert Rosenberg, our director of marketing. So basically what we looked at is our content, which is what Joseph mentioned about how they ran around the Frost Museum and filmed quickly. So our content is our dancers and their work. And we kept on Robert Rosenberg, who is our marketing director, because we realized that at this pivotal moment, we needed to have him on our team of three. So the three of us basically have worked every single day of the past 42 days. There's not been a day that we haven't been in contact to design what the strategies were to keep Dance Now in the forefront as a dance organization and as a leadership arts organization in the community. And there really is a requirement to be very dynamic. I keep saying, we had our board meeting, I keep saying, it's bend not break, right? Like Grasshopper said, and Kung Fu, this is our motto, because at the beginning, it was very hard for some of us to imagine how possibly a dance company could continue under the circumstances, as I described them, with our legs literally cut out from under us. But we just opened our minds and we decided that we were going to go for it, that any attempt was a good attempt to continue our mission. And fortunately for us, I am insane and was pressing forward in this way. Fortunately for us, Robert had a clear idea of what, because of his background in film, what content and how to create content that was appropriate. And because of Diego's background in television and his his well-learned skills as a video editor, we were able and have been able to make this happen. So what are we doing with this stop, start, and continue? We, and again, it's not about size, it's about resolve, it's about grit. Let me just remind you all out there, there are three of us. We decided that we have tons of video. We have 20 years of video, but video is very boring because our form of dance is not meant to be watched on video, it's meant to be watched live. So that took a little bit of crafting, and we started to try to integrate the situation and our art form. And we felt that this was important to connect with our audiences. There are many organizations that are releasing live stream and releasing beautiful video, but we felt in our community and for our audiences, we wanted them to know that we were there with them in this situation. So I'm going to share my screen now, and I'm going to show you a little bit of some of these things. Of course, we put up, of course, right away on our website, a request for donation, but we haven't actively solicited. That will be coming later. You know, we really felt that we needed to do this first. So I have a couple minutes yet. I just want to share with you a few moments of some of the output that we created to give you an idea of what we've been doing. So hopefully you'll be able to see this one. We call these co-videos. So here we have our dancers actually rehearsing in their homes. And it is bookended by the piece that they're rehearsing. So I think, as you can imagine, looking back on that, it almost chokes me up because that was the first thing that we did. At the time, we did not think that all the rest of the season was going to be canceled, and we still thought that we were rehearsing for our May 30th show. Maybe we didn't think that, but we convinced ourselves that that was our MO, where we were operating from. And then part of the distribution system that Robert helped us to devise in these packages was to also make sure that everything that we released was different, one from the next, because while people are at home, while we're glued to our screens, our attention spans are actually getting shorter and shorter and shorter. And so he made a very important point, and I think it's important for all of us to realize that a long newsletter with a lot of text is not always going to be successful right now. And we released this, we're working with a tri-fold distribution. So what we do is we release first on Facebook, and then we tag our board and our advisory board and our dancers and members of our community to share that. Then we release through our Instagram second, and that's also shared. And then the third thing that we do is at the end of that release period, we release an e-blast that links back to that, and we post it on our website. So there's a very distinct system that's working with every single release. Right now we have, as I showed you, you'll see we have all of the videos on the website. My graphic designer has been fighting me. I just wanted to leave that here for today. They're all going to go into a gallery so people will be able to see the sort of chronology of what we've been going through. Now, we also believe, like the Arsht Center, in a social responsibility for this time. Oh, let me back up a second. We had other events that we had footage of that we wanted to share. So for example, in keeping with this vastly different kinds of performances, we had a site specific that was about global sea level rise that was filmed. Probably 15 people showed up at Miami Beach pump number 33, 3 days before we shut down on the March, I guess it was March 6th, a few days before we shut down. But this video reached almost 4,000 hits. Just to give you an idea, there was a little introduction. I'm not going to show you the intro because you see me already. But here's just a sense of so a vastly different kind of output. And this was done in collaboration with Miami-Dade Live Arts Ecocultura. And the text is Josh Fox, who was about to perform. And this was part of the publicity for his performance as well. So this also was introducing our audiences to another part of dance now that perhaps they didn't even know about. And again, we're very lucky because Diego also filmed this for later use. So it was a beautiful filming of a site-specific dance piece. So, and then here we have Josh Fox.
The Earth's temperature has gone up by 1 degree Celsius. Bill McKibben, the famed writer on climate change, tells me, now, that doesn't sound like so much, but it's enough to get everything on Earth to start melting.
That was, again, something vastly different that we're presenting and reaching audiences. And then we really stepped up to do something that was not about our art, but was about, since we were kind of on this track about sharing what was going on and supporting what was going on right now at home. And we created we had some video, actually testimonials from our dancers where they were talking individually about their situations and how our company was continuing to function. But then we also had our stay-at-home video, which received about 7,000 hits.
Stay home. Don't forget to wash your hands.
We're in this together.
Avoid touching your face.
We'll dance for you.
So again, and really trying to help people understand that we are really in the same place that they are right now. And as we go forward, we have a whole list of content that we are going to continue to release. We also realize that we want to do a season finale, which we will do. Our last performance is going to be May 30th at the Broward Center and at the Colony. And so what we are doing is we are actually creating a new work. We've created, we're in the process of creating 2 new work actually. One of them is called Contaminated. And it was a reimagination of the site-specific that was canceled, which was about the HIV and AIDS crisis. And it has transformed to be about our current situation. And it is an experiment because it's going to require the art itself and the creative videography, but also a season finale. And ultimately we will be trying to monetize that because we have lost a huge amount of income and we need to be able to recoup some of that. So you'll be seeing more of that. If you haven't seen it already, we did release also a census video, encouraging people while they're at home to fill out the census. But mostly what we've discovered is that we're able to reach a huge number of people through these medium, more than we had before because we were focused on live performances. And I think that Kathryn asked the question about how is this going to affect our return to normalcy. I think for us, the return is going to be the longest held out because gatherings in enclosed venues will be the last to open. So we are looking at the long haul for this. We are looking at continuing to produce content throughout the summer and into the fall. We're reimagining how the actual artwork can be created. And hopefully if you tune into our Instagram page or our Facebook page, you'll get an opportunity, and sign up for our e-blast, you'll get an opportunity to see how we've reimagined this for our final performance of the season. I think that for all of us, as I said at the beginning, I really think that every attempt is a good attempt. You know, we participated in National Water Dance. We had some glitches, but we all felt proud that we were participating in an exploration of this new way of communicating our art to the general public. So that's it.
Thanks, Hannah.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. I love the co-video idea. We'll move right into Michele Reese, with Director of Marketing for History Miami. Michelle's an Emmy Award-winning news anchor turned marketing strategist. She oversees all public relations, marketing, and social media strategies at History Miami. Prior to the museum, she worked at a top PR firm and marketing firm, developing large-scale events and PR campaigns for some of Miami's largest real estate clients. So good morning, Michele, and welcome.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Well, I'm so honored to be here with this wonderful group of panelists. I mean, we all work in the arts and culture arena, and to see, it's just so inspiring to see how creatives are being so creative with technology to stay connected during this challenging time. So I certainly applaud each and every one of you for your efforts. So today I want to focus on some things that we're doing at History Miami Museum, but things that we are doing that cost us in total under $500. And I wanted to make that point because right now, so many people are facing tighter budgets than ever before. In the nonprofit world, we're always on tight budgets, but this particular time, we're on tighter ones. And so these are some ways that we've been able to be engaged with the community and do meaningful things in the community that didn't cost us a lot of money. And so I'm going to share my screen really quick to go through a couple of slides that will show you some of the ways that we've been able to connect. Here we go. Okay, great. So one of the first things that we did was we created a virtual museum. This web page went up within 72 hours after we closed. And so this was what you would find at the beginning when you go to historymiami.org, this is what you see. And this basically put all of our things in one place, so people didn't have to go all over and click around the internet on our website to find them. So we had online exhibits, artifact highlights, links to different resources, articles from our historian, Dr. George, and right there with our black and white photos, a place to find all of our wonderful, wonderful photos in one space. So like Joseph and many of you have said, what were we able to do right before we closed? Well, one of the things we did was our social media manager went upstairs the day we were closing and shot a series of 6 tours of our core exhibition with our visitor service manager. And these are little small 5-minute videos that took people around Tropical Dreams, which is our core exhibition. And what's so great about this is we were able to utilize these videos not only on social media, but we were able to put them on YouTube. They were in our newsletters. And so multiple different touch points for people to keep getting a new experience every single week from the museum. We decided to engage in real time with live streams, and I really encourage everyone to try this. We did Miami Moments with Dr. Paul George. So it was a 2-week popular daily 30-minute lecture series. And so we created appointment viewing, and we launched this a week after being closed. And it was so amazing to see so many people from all over the world tuning in. Some people from as far away as Spain were watching these lecture series. And we had about 3,000 people watch each one of these videos, not live. During live videos, it was about 100 people, but we saw a lot of people once they got off work, people were clicking and engaging with the videos. All right, so we also thought, how do we go beyond just the virtual visit, right? So we had to do some digital programming. So we created our hands-on program, and this is something we do at the museum every Saturday for kids. So we decided, let's do something like that online. And so we have our own dedicated webpage for hands-on history at home. It has different art activities, story time, and various things to engage with the children. this is a first for us. So we were celebrating our 80th anniversary this year for our annual meeting. And obviously we couldn't gather as a group, so we decided to gather on a meeting on Zoom. And we had over 80 members join us. We were able to elect our entire board. We unmuted everybody. Everyone got to vote. And it was a really nice way to engage during this time. Our next online event, because that was so successful, is coming up with Dr. George. We're going to do a virtual happy hour, and this is for our members, and we're going to be talking about the Miami's nightclub scene. So I think we're going to start seeing several more of these virtual programming ideas here in the next few weeks. But one of my favorite things we do at History Miami Museum is called Miami Stories. About 11 years ago, we started this Miami Stories project with our partners, WLRN and the Miami Herald. And up until now, you've had to write your story or provide the audio story at our Miami Stories booth that you may see around town. But we decided everyone right now is glued to their cell phone. I don't know about you, but my screen time has definitely gone up. So we said maybe there's a way to make it really easy and have people capture their Miami story right through their cell phone. And so we asked people to tell us, how did you come to Miami? What's it like living in Miami during this COVID situation? And people have been able to send us their stories in, and we've put them all on the internet right here. And you can see we've had a bunch of diverse stories from all over our community. And I really think that that's one of the special things about the Miami Stories project, is it's how are we connecting? And I think everyone's looking for meaningful ways to connect with everyone in our community right now. And so this has been a really great project. And so we've been able to put those again on social media. We share them in our newsletter. And then we also put them on our YouTube page as well. And so these videos range anywhere from 3 minutes to 10 minutes. And so I definitely encourage you, if you have not done a Miami story with us yet, to do it. You can see that these videos don't have to be perfect. They just have to tell your story. And that's really what we're trying to capture. It's certainly part of our mission. And this is just a new way for us to do that. Okay. These are our newsletters, and we do 2 newsletters a week, and I really think that's been one of the greatest growth. We've seen a lot of people joining our newsletter, and our readership is way up from our open rates, like many people have said. And here's kind of a fun fact up at the top, which is our mascot from 1920. Guesses? It's the elephant. So we always try to create some fun tips up at the very top of our newsletters, and that's really how we've been engaging with folks. And this was a hands-on history newsletter that goes out on Monday, and then we have our big HMM on demand newsletter that goes out on Thursdays, and then we upload that content every Thursday to our website. So if you come to our website this week, next week, you're going to see entirely new content on that page, and that was really important to us to keep giving people something to come back to. And so in summary, whoa, I went too fast. We've been engaging with multiple different platforms, and I really encourage everyone to try some of those because, as I said, they're free, and that's the best thing, and they allow us to have these meaningful connections with our community in new ways. And I really think that part of the silver lining of all this is really that we're able to be more accessible to the South Florida community. Being able to provide this kind of access is something that I know our museum certainly is working with all of our DEI work, our diversity, equity, access, and inclusion work. And so being able to do programming like this has allowed us to do that in a new way. And so I think that that's been really, really fun and engaging for us. So that is it for me. I know we were kind of running tight on time. Brendan, I want to make sure you had time for questions for all of us.
Thank you. Thanks, Michele. Yeah, we are running a little tight on time, but we're going to try to get through. We got one more presentation, and then we'll start in with the questions. We got about 12 so far, and also want to remind people, if you haven't taken the poll, go ahead and try to do that now. We're going to reopen it again, so you can take it. It's just a 1-question poll of what's going on in your organization. So now we have a special presentation from John Copeland, who many of us know from the Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau. John oversees the Cultural Tourism Division, leads the strategic development and implementation of cultural tourism programs that expands the global awareness of Miami's art and culture. So we're pleased to have John here for a special presentation, and there he is. Good morning.
Hey, everybody. How's everybody doing? Thank you so much for sticking around. I'll be quick. So I know a lot of you were able to participate on the GMCVB's webinar this past week, where we talked about our virtual programs. And as you see right here, here is one of our virtual backgrounds. And so we've got these loaded on our website, and I'll talk more about them in just a little bit. But to start off, I want to tell you a little bit about what the GMCVB is doing and what we're planning for the recovery, the business recovery plan for our destination. And so that's going to be an important part of all of us getting back to our new normal. And naturally, we have seen already with Mayor Jimenez, the county mayor, has put together a proposal where starting tomorrow, some of our park spaces will be open to the general public. And so to kick it off, I just want to share with you guys our video about how Miami is going to get back to normal.
Sometimes, looking ahead is what moves us forward. It's in those moments when we discover who we truly are, where we appreciate more than ever the beauty of life and turn that admiration into inspiration with life-affirming optimism and a thirst for endless discovery. There's a place with that same bright, sun-drenched attitude. It radiates from everything, from every corner, and from everyone. It turns bricks and mortar into masterpieces and lets nature thrive in its natural state. So we invite you to look forward to a brilliant tomorrow in a place that sparks joy and ignites smiles. We can't wait to welcome you with open arms. Until then, we stand by you as you stand by, ready for our Miami sun to shine brighter than ever. Let's shine together.
And so you see that we've put together a plan to come back. And as we all know, it takes our amazing arts and culture institutions to truly shine and make Miami as special as it possibly can be. And so with that, I'd like to share a little bit about what the GMCVB has been doing to try to encourage people to stay connected to Miami. And this is not just our visitors from all over the world, but it's also our residents and our community that is at home right now and self-isolating and looking for amazing things to do. And so with that, I'm going to drive through a little bit about what's happening on our website these days. And so if you've been to our website, which I know many of you have, we work frequently to share all of your events and activities through our platform. And so here at miamiandbeaches.com, you'll find along the top some of our initiatives that we've been putting in place to help with the crisis. Naturally, I hope you've all taken advantage of Miami Eats, the great carry out or drive out, the drive-in options for restaurants that are out there that are still open. Also, our hotels, we do have open hotels in our community. A Miami Salutes program, putting out offers and specials for our frontline workers that are taking care of us all. But for now, I'd like to dive into Virtual Miami and quickly give you a brief overview of this platform. Again, as everybody had mentioned, we did a quick turn once we realized that so many events were getting canceled. We were flooded and inundated with events that were already on our calendar and in our platform that were now being canceled. And so we thought, well, let's pivot. Let's put together a Virtual Miami platform to share all of the amazing experiences that we have. And this started really as an initiative about what we have and what was going on within the GMCVB. And I have to drive right down to our webcams. So the GMCVB has a series of webcams throughout the community, and they're always very popular with visitors from around the world. And in fact, whenever a webcam goes down, we hear about it right away. And what really drew us was what happened in our cruise line industry. And so as you'll see from this webcam here, looking straight out from South Beach, we see our cruise ships out there on the horizon as they have had an all stop to the cruising around the world. And along with this, we started sharing webcams from our partners. So we had a webcam from Zoo Miami that we were able to get their feed and actually dive right into the meerkat exhibition at Zoo Miami. And so we could check out what all of the little meerkats were doing. We're going to be working with Joseph over at Frost Science Museum. They have a tremendous webcam as well within their aquarium there at the Science Museum. So we're looking to gather as many of these types of materials as possible. And to show you a little bit about what else is happening on here is we're getting tremendous submissions from all of you, from our partners. And so real quick, I pulled out a highlight. So the Art Deco weekend actually has a tremendous amount of lectures at home that they have put together over the years. And just like many of you have, they took those lectures and put them online. And so we have this little landing page where you can dive in, you can visit their site and go directly to their videos from their past lectures from their Art Deco Week in 2020. And you'll find these lectures available here to download and view from anywhere. So many of you may be asking, well, how do we get our events on Virtual Miami? Well, it's really simple. There's no cost at all. We're happy to do this. We want your events. We want your content. And so here at the beginning of the page, you'll find if you are the host of a virtual event and would like to be included, all you need to do is download a simple submission form. And so this submission form is a PDF document, and it's very basic. Many of you have filled out these forms time and time again for the GMCVB, but there are 3 things that I want to call your attention to that are most important about filling out this form. The first one is making sure that you have a great URL for your event. Many of you are doing Zoom meetings. We are very hesitant to post the direct link to your Zoom meeting here on the platform. We've seen a lot of Zoom bombing where people are going into Zoom meetings and doing inappropriate things. So please, if at all possible, have a dedicated place on your website platform where we can send visitors to gain access to your event. That being said, we've also been directing people to Instagram feeds and to Facebook Live events. So if you have an event page set up already for your Facebook Live, you can send that link. We're happy to post that. The other important thing to remember is the event description. This description is so important because this is what's going to inspire people. So put on that creative marketing hat, put together a great event description. We can't emphasize this enough. Please make sure that this event description is different from any that already exist on your own website or anywhere else on the web. The more unique event descriptions we have, the higher ranking and results that we will get from Google searches. And then finally, the final thing I can't emphasize enough is an event image. These event images are key. As you see from Art Deco Weekend, we've got a great hero image of their front of their building. It's iconic. Everybody knows this, especially here in Miami. And it's a great way to position their particular event for Art Deco Weekend. So fill out this form. It all can be completed on the web. You don't have to print it out and fax us a copy. You can fill it out, save it, email it to virtualmiami@gmcvb.com. Send your events here, virtualmiami@gmcvb.com. I will receive it as well as our web team, and we will get to work on getting you onto Virtual Miami as quickly as we possibly can. And so with that, I thank you. And I know we've got lots of questions and we are running quick on time. So I'm going to stop this share. Back over to you, Brendan.
Thanks, John. I appreciate it. I love the backgrounds. They're fun. I got to take a look at those. So I had some questions, but I really want to get to all of your questions first. So I'm just going to kind of start at the top and ask these questions. If all the panelists can unmute yourselves just so you're ready. Some of this is for everyone. Some of them are specific. Andrew is asking a question for folks. If there is time, what best practices are folks seeing for measuring digital impact, and how are folks determining what success looks like?
Well, I'll go. I mean, I think for us right now, it's still a conversation, right? I mean, right now we're basing it on, you know, the unique website visitors, YouTube views, you know, and we're trying to measure ourselves up against, you know, not necessarily competitors, but cultural partners. So for example, like Michele shared, you know, we're also averaging for our live virtual Facebook Live series, you know, we're averaging about 100 viewers, give or take. You know, so at first it's like, well, it's only 100, but then to Michele's point, we are seeing that number increase exponentially as the days goes by, and we're climbing up to, you know, to 1,500, 2,000. So right now we're really relying on just that digital data. I think what we're challenged with is, you know, how is that translating eventually? Is that going to translate to sales or to memberships or to renewals, et cetera? So that's something that we're continuing to sort of explore and discuss.
Yeah, and if I can add to that, it's Joseph, we have the same questions, but for us, really, it's about, you know, we just want to bring awareness to artists. And so, you know, when the artists finish with these conversations and the studio visits that they're doing, and the fact that it changes their mental state and how they're feeling, and the fact that they feel engaged with people that they couldn't, that they're, you know, that they couldn't otherwise engage with, like that alone for us is enough of a benefit, quite frankly, to know that we've helped an individual. And also because it does, you know, as we said, as we've all talked about, it not only reaches the art, like our local audience, but it really gives us the opportunity for a global audience, which is something for visual artists that's very difficult to get. So I think as long as our plan is to continue these for the foreseeable future, not every day. We're doing virtual studio visits almost every day. We won't continue them every day, but yeah, I think that human connection is so important now, and I think it always is, frankly.
Right. Next question up is for anyone that's working with kids. Some of the content that is coming out for kids, I find on Facebook via email. My kids are late elementary and middle school. They don't have social media and won't touch email. They're SMS only. Has anyone experimented with reaching kids in this way, or seen other institutions across the country doing this? I wouldn't want to necessarily you to have my kids' cell numbers. I would appreciate a text. I would appreciate a text I could forward to my kids.
Okay, I can definitely answer that. Well, I use a resource called Remind, and I pair that up with Microsoft Teams. And a lot of businesses use Remind as well. Even when I was touring as a musician, our tour manager used it. It's basically just a text app where you can go back and forth. You can send assignments. You can send basically anything. It's almost like Twitter. You got like 140 characters. You can send whatever you need to send, and keep it short, you know, links to whatever the assignments that it is. They can contact you back and forth, and everything is recorded, so that, you know, you can see it. If they text you back, you can see it. You can also disable text back so that, and they also put codes in the text messages. If you don't have a iPhone, it'll still be able to let you know if you read, or if that person read and delivered that. Remind is a really, really, really good one. I know there are things like Class Dojo and things like that a lot of elementary teachers use, but me personally, I do teach elementary and middle school, and Remind works perfect for me. I'm able to get a lot of engagement.
That's great. That's great. The next questions are for Kathryn. I love watching what you're doing. How are you evaluating what's working and making changes based on what is and isn't doing well? And also, what technology are you using to take Instagram video and then post onto YouTube? Kathryn?
Yeah, so it's not easy when you're trying to do. I'll talk about the you know, how we post it on YouTube. Really, we're doing a screen record, so it's very low tech. That's the only way we figured out how to do it. But we screen record the Instagram lives, and then we post it onto YouTube. I wish there was a better way, but that's what we're doing right now. The other option is to have, you know, one camera filming another camera, or the camera filming the screen. So maybe there's somebody else that has more technology expertise that can share how to do that in an easier way. And as far as evaluation, like we said, I think all of us are just really looking at the number of views and who's engaging with it. I'm looking at our newsletters to find if people are reading it more, which means they're interested in learning about who's doing studio visits. So it's really just, it's looking at the numbers. And then I'm also, you know, I pay attention. People give feedback. I get a lot of emails and texts about what they're thinking. Like I said, the changes that we've made, we're doing it less often. We're doing it once a day versus multiple times a day, so we can properly promote what it is that we're doing. Yeah, so I mean, that's really how we're doing it. It's, you know, direct feedback and watching the numbers.
Great, thank you. Next question is for Jake, asking about the newsletters. Are you creating a separate subscription list that you're sending this out, or are you just sending it to your existing newsletters? How are you differentiating who is getting these new newsletters you're doing? And then also a question about how you're doing the videos and who's doing that on your end. Is it just is it single staff member, or is it divided up between the Arsht Center staff?
No, the newsletter goes out to our master list. We call it our seed list. The same one where if say our CEO Johan has an announcement to make to all of our guest whose emails we have on file. That's the list we use. It goes out, as I said, to 191,000 people. So we created a new newsletter, but it's the same master list. As for the videos, I think the question was who's shooting them. No, they're all being shot by the artist. And of course, you know, the quality ranges, because a lot of this is new to many of us, Zoom, and today was my first PowerPoint, so I'm pretty sure I didn't use it correctly.
Good job.
Yeah, well, I tried. But the content overwhelmingly is outstanding. So we forgive lighting issues and things like that, but we do work with a contract videographer who created a theme song for the videos, title cards, etc. And where we can, we touch up lighting and things like that, and do a little light editing, but mostly it's the artist. So.
Great. Another question for the group, again, another technology question. Can anyone tell me how to link a home concert with a Facebook Live page? For example, if the musicians who are playing the concert are not the admins of the Facebook page, how do you get them linked so their video plays on the page?
I think the easiest way is you have a corporate Zoom account that you can set up, and then Zoom makes it pretty easy to connect to Facebook. So if you connect the Zoom Live corporate account to your corporate Facebook accounts, and then Zoom makes it pretty easy. It has some steps about how to go live, etc. And it connects with Facebook, and then you could give, you know, whoever's doing that concert or your partner that's going to be at home access to that corporate Zoom account. And, you know, like we've done before, but definitely do some run-throughs before, you know, actually going live with it. And then, you know, once that person goes live on Zoom, it connects into the Facebook Live. So it takes a little bit getting used to, but once you've done it, it becomes a lot easier.
If I could just add a little something to that, it is significantly more effective if there is only one person producing sound and visual. So if you're trying to do something that has multiple users, which is what we did for National Water Dance, we had 9 people on Zoom, and that was being cast onto Facebook Live. It still works, but what happens is there are often delays, things are not synced up. So if you're trying to do a concert with one musician or one speaker, it's definitely doable. The minute you have multiples, it can create some just dynamic problems just simply because of bandwidth, and not everyone, the lag time, et cetera, in productive sound.
Okay, great. Next one is for Jean. What is the goal from day one to maintain as many employed as possible? How has the organization handled communication with your employees? Employing 60 people during this time is incredible, but unfortunately many are not able to do the same. Employees are left in the dark and confused without clear communication from employers.
Well, as far as I know, yeah, we have not furloughed anybody. Everybody's been able to keep their job in my music project. I don't think anybody has necessarily been recently hired, but we've been able to keep our teaching artists, and all of us teaching artists we're contracted through the organization. As far as being able to keep things afloat, I know that they've done some tremendous budget cuts. You know, we had our programming is usually every day, Monday through Friday, from 3 to 6 p.m., something like that, at every chapter. And as of right now, like I said, we have about 3 to 4 days a week, but the classes, you know, the teachers are teaching less classes, but we're still able to keep income going. I know that me personally, my income probably got shot at least about 25% down the drain, but I'm still able to keep, you know, I'm still able to keep my lights on and keep chugging through all of this.
Great. All right. A couple questions for Michele. Just if you can talk a little bit more about the platform you mentioned for sharing Miami stories. Is there a fee to use it? Do you accept crowdsourcing as well?
So that was, yeah, so when I said we spent $500 or less, this was actually my biggest chunk. And so the monthly fee, we bought a 12-month subscription, and that was just under $500. And the platform is called Boast. and it is super easy. So when you use your phone to upload the video, and you create your own Boast page, and then you as the admin can watch the video and approve it, and then we have it coded to be directly onto our website. So as soon as I click that this video has been approved, it goes onto my website. And so it's been really easy to use, and we were able to get it up and running within a couple of hours.
And the $500 is like a one-time fee, or is that?
It was a one-time fee for the whole
Right.
year. And
Okay.
so as we start, continuing collecting these stories, and we send out newsletters to all of our different partner organizations, more and more of these videos are coming in. So I can only see it, hopefully getting even bigger as throughout the rest of the year. And so it's just a one-time cost, and you get to use it. We have almost unlimited. I think you can collect over 2,000 videos at one time.
So this wouldn't apply to the museums, but for the cultural arts organizations, are there any issues with using the rights as far as unions and things of that nature? Oftentimes that becomes kind of the stumbling block, and I noticed in some of the at-home stuff I've seen things planned and then they get postponed because of trying to negotiate with different arts organizations and unions and so forth. How are you overcoming that?
So we didn't look into the union because it's all personally made videos that people are choosing to contribute. And so with Boast, with the platform, anything that a user uploads, the museum then is able to retain for our future records. And that is something that everyone knows, that these are all being archived at the museum. But the user agreements within Boast kind of outline where the video goes and how it can be used. But as far as rights, as I said, it's, Boast and the museum have rights to that video clip once you upload it.
Great. How about for any of the other
Brendan,
panelists?
yeah, you mentioned something very interesting, and I definitely didn't touch on that. You have to be very careful with broadcasting on Facebook, because they will block your video if you don't have rights to the music. So for example, the Arsht Center, obviously the artists are producing it, and they have rights before they are even booked to do something like that. But any music that's used, that's why, for example, our stay-at-home video sounded kind of like an 80s workout video because we used what's called stock music that's free and available online. There is an organization called Legal Inc. Its director is actually our rehearsal director, Alan Gins Ayers. She's a lawyer, and she can help artists to, she's an intellectual property lawyer, and she can assist if you're interested in broadcasting something, even music, for example, for Water Dance. We had an original composition created by a young artist, a pianist, because we wanted to use even a recording of a Ravel Water Dance. And even that recording is copyrighted, even though the piece of music isn't public domain. So it is something important when you're creating content that you're certain, because the last thing you want to do is have it get out there, and then after 30 seconds, Facebook shuts you down and shuts your organization, slaps your organization. There's no one to call. There is no one to reach. When they put that shackle on you, you just have to wait for it to pass. There's no getting out of it.
That's an excellent point. I would just say I use Audio Jungle as well when I'm looking for great pieces of music to put to some of these videos. And so if people haven't utilized Audio Jungle, you can get a great piece of music for $12, $8 sometimes. So that's just a nice platform to use.
Great resource. Another resource mentioned by one of the participants is one called StreamYard.com. StreamYard.com, that allows you to bring multiple cameras together into one live stream. So another one to check out. We're all looking for low and no cost types of resources. So there's another one. I'm not sure what the cost is there. How about as far as just overall unsubscribes, and then also probably just to kind of to dovetail on that one as far as new users, what are people seeing? If you're sending out a lot of communication going through email, are you seeing your unsubscribe rates changing? I know we said people are opening them up more, so that's a pretty good thing. And then also, are you seeing new audiences coming on board? Because I think that's kind of what the goal is for all of us, right? To start introducing new audiences to our venues and platforms.
Yeah, I think we all talked about the fact that we're seeing new audiences. I think we're all seeing an uptick, certainly in social media for us. The unsubscribe rate, for me, hasn't been any different, but that was a big concern, because I'm now sending out basically a weekly newsletter versus typically a monthly newsletter. But I'd love to hear from the others, but we have not seen an increase in our unsubscribe rate at all.
No, I don't believe we have either. And as an organization, we're sending fewer emails because generally we send about 3 a day to different lists, show announcements, etc. But I don't think our unsubscriptions right now are any different than normal. You know, you always get those, a few people, a couple hundred here and there, but then, you know, it goes right, you get new subscribers to balance it out. So we're holding steady at around 190,000 subscribers to that list.
Okay. Anyone else?
I would say that there's definitely been a bigger push, at least on our end, to encourage people to join the newsletter. So I mean, hopefully that's something we're going to continue far beyond this. It's you know, on everything we're posting, we're saying, hey, to stay up to date with everything, we have to join our newsletter. And so that's something we're seeing in our social media pushes and everything. So our newsletter numbers have definitely increased, and we haven't had as many unsubscribes at all.
Yeah, it's been an opportunity for us too, because we also have been promoting our sign up page more so than I think we have in the past.
We actually did a campaign where we sent out an e-blast to try to get people to sign up for Instagram and Facebook, because we find that the e-blast lovers are sometimes a little bit more mature audiences, let's say, and they're not so savvy with Facebook or Instagram. And we wanted to let them know, we called it Stay Connected or something like that, where we said, just click here on the e-blast and it will take you to our Instagram page, so you can follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook. Our graphic designer, Larry Chidsey, came up with that, and it was a great idea because it immediately increased our subscriptions to Instagram and Facebook. Now, we haven't figured out how to do the reverse and get all those 7,000 Facebook watchers to sign up for e-blasts, but we don't know if it's necessary because our e-blast targets are more participating audience in the regular performance season, versus the Facebook could be someone in another country, in another time zone. But so we're trying to cross-reference those.
Okay. One thing I'd like to add, if you don't mind, real quick about the newsletters, well, the newsletter for Arsht at Home too is I'm writing it in a more conversational voice, a more approachable, personal tone. You know, often our newsletters are straight, you know, we try to make them fun, but they're straight show announcements, things like that. But this one is more of trying to speak more directly to our audience in this newsletter, which is the tone and the voice of Arsht at Home. So we're trying to match that.
Great.
I was just going to follow what Jake said. I would just really encourage people to be very raw, personal, unscripted. Don't worry about technology glitches. I mean, I really believe that this is providing people with a unique way of connecting in a way that I think is going to be far more lasting than what we've done in the past, because it makes everybody human and accessible and approachable, whether you're a dancer or a musician or a visual artist, whether you're a historian. Like, it makes everything just feel real in a way that I think many people have wanted for so long. I mean, we've gotten so perfect in these beautiful videos and everything was so polished, and we're all trying to figure out, how do we make all of these amazingly polished things on this, you know, on a budget that's this size. But now what we're seeing is, it's not about big budget. It's just about giving people insights and bringing them into your world so they can feel a part of it. So I just want to encourage people to just, you know, like Hannah said earlier, just do it. Just get out there. I'm telling you, people will connect to it in a very different way. And yeah, that's all. Sorry.
I guess at the end of the day, it's all about good content. It doesn't have to be highly produced. And I think we've touched that on virtually everyone here. It's about creating that content. So with that, I'm going to have to bring this to an end. I know we didn't get to everyone's questions, but if you look on the chat, there's everyone's individual LinkedIn accounts are there, so you can reach out to folks individually. I do want to share that we have the results of the poll. The question was, has your organization started virtual programming? And 68% of the people said yes. So by and large, most folks are doing it here. 30 people said no, and then a small percent were not sure. So by and large, everyone's jumping onto that, and hopefully we've gotten some good insight from everyone today. I do want to thank all of our panelists for being with us today in this unique COVID post-COVID casual environment. I think the presentations were great, and I hope everyone got some good stuff out of it. I sure did myself.